Welcome to the Cummins Highway online virtual presentation. My name is Jeffrey Alexis with the City of Boston Public Works Department, and I'm the project manager for the Cummins Highway project. To provide you with a quick overview of this project, the Public Works Department started looking at the redesign of Cummins Highway back in December of 2018. The project limits for the Cummins Highway redesign are from River Street to the Harvard Street and Wood Avenue intersection. As the City of Boston, there were a number of roadway issues that we saw on Cummins Highway. I will get into them shortly, but with assistance from the community, we wanted to look for the best ways to improve safety and access for all modes of transportation. For this presentation, I'd like to give you a quick summary of the Cummins Highway project design process so far, the current status, and the next steps moving forward. To get a bit into the data collection and analysis we performed, to come up with the concepts we've shown, we looked at traffic counts 48 hours on Wednesday and Thursday, on October 24th and 25th in 2018, we measured vehicle speeds, we measured travel time, we did 30 runs during peak hours on Thursday, March 28th in 2019. We documented street parking use between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on February 6th of 2019, and we collected crash data from the Boston Police Department from 2016 to 2018. Employing all the data that we collected above, which includes existing traffic counts, and by applying typical growth factors for proposed developments like the Cody Ford and other growth factors used in traffic engineering, we use models to create design parameters for Cummins Highway. Essentially, this information here is what led to the alternative design concepts we developed for Cummins Highway. Our number one goal for the Cummins Highway project is to improve safety along this corridor. To touch upon some of the roadway issues that I briefly mentioned in one of my previous slides, according to MassDOT, Cummins Highway is listed in the top 3% for vehicle crashes in the city of Boston. This is clearly a statistic we're not proud of, and this was a major concern for us as well as the neighborhood. According to the Boston Police Department, between 2016 and 2018, there was a total of 119 crashes along Cummins Highway between Fairway Street and the Harvard Street intersection. 59 of those crashes resulted in personal injury. As you can see from this data map, there isn't simply just one intersection along Cummins Highway where we can make improvements to resolve these safety issues. So for this design project, we decided to look at the whole corridor of Cummins Highway. Since this data was collected, we've also received a number of reports from residents about the crashes on Cummins Highway. At the time of this study, the number of crashes on Cummins Highway was 2 times the state average. And unfortunately, on June 9th, 2020, a gentleman was fatally injured in a car crash at the Richmere Road intersection. This issue is definitely something we wanted to address, and we're working to make the necessary improvements so tragedies like this no longer happen on Cummins Highway. Another issue that we saw on Cummins Highway was vehicles were speeding excessively. This sentiment was also expressed by the residents in the neighborhood, and as you can see, all along Cummins Highway, vehicles are exceeding the 25 miles per hour speed limit. In the section between Harvard Street and Woodhaven Street, we can see that the 85th percentile vehicle speed is recorded at 36 miles per hour in the westbound direction and 40 miles per hour in the eastbound direction. During our study, we even recorded vehicles traveling close to 45 miles per hour. As part of this project, we're hoping to get these numbers down closer to the speed shown on other locations on Cummins Highway, or even down to the speed limit to provide more safety. To discuss these issues, the community's concerns, and the potential design solutions for Cummins Highway, we hosted 3 meetings at the Mannahunt Community Center on Hebron Street in Mattapan. Our first meeting was held on April 11, 2019, and our second and third meetings were held on October 29, 2019, and February 27, 2020, respectively. During these meetings, we showed the community a presentation and provided a Q&A and open house sessions. From the 3 community meetings we hosted and the survey information that we solicited, we determined that the top resident concerns were speeding, safety, and traffic congestion. These were the 3 main issues that we heard from the community, so we wanted to focus on developing a design concept that would help alleviate these issues. The top resident design objectives for the project, because of these issues, were traffic calming, speed reduction, and the addition of bicycle facilities along Cummins Highway. As with all City of Boston projects, for Cummins Highway, we also wanted to look at the possibility of providing better accommodations for all modes of transportation. Taking a look at the residents' concerns and objectives, we presented the community with 4 alternative concept designs for Cummins Highway. After balancing the comments and concerns that the community has raised with the current city policies, the data collected, analysis, and current engineering best practices, the Public Works Department presented this preferred complete streets design for Cummins Highway. As you can see, this concept calls for reducing Cummins Highway from a 4-lane roadway to a 2-lane roadway. This design concept increases the travel lane width from 10 feet to 11 feet and increases the sidewalk width from 10 feet to 12 feet. It maintains parking on both sides and provides separated bike lanes in the eastbound and westbound directions. With these improvements, we aim to reduce vehicle speeds, shorten crossing distances, provide better accommodations for pedestrians and cyclists, and ultimately provide a safer and improved streetscape for everyone. To provide you with a visual of how Cummins Highway would look with these potential improvements, here's a look at the Savannah Avenue and Rugby Road intersection on Cummins Highway. While these images shown are reflective of what could be implemented on Cummins Highway, please note that the design elements shown here are not a requisite of the preferred design concept, and all design aspects will be determined during the actual design process. So in response to the Public Works' selection of this preferred concept design, the community raised some valid concerns. The 3 main concerns they raised were in regards to increase in vehicle congestion and increase in vehicle travel delay. Residents also expressed concerns about the introduction of in-lane bus stops along Cummins Highway. To reassure residents, the decision regarding proposing in-lane bus stops on Cummins Highway has not been finalized. This is still being evaluated, and during the design process, we will determine the best path forward. We're looking at in-lane bus stops because they are traffic design elements proven to improve bus operations, reduce wear, improve pedestrian spaces. By not having buses pull in and out of travel lanes, it provides better safety as well as easier boarding. And although I'm taking the time to highlight these benefits, we understand that with this preferred concept, frequent stops caused by the MBTA would create an unfavorable driving condition while traveling on Cummins Highway. In response to the concerns that the community raised, we wanted to be transparent and provide direct answers to help alleviate those concerns. One of the main goals of the preferred concept is to slow vehicles down to improve safety. That being said, some delay is expected and also desirable. Slow vehicular speeds will result in longer travel durations, and the traffic model we created predicts that the average additional travel time would be about 1 minute. So here's the data we collected in regards to travel times for Cummins Highway. As I mentioned in one of my previous slides, on Thursday, March 28, 2019, we completed 30 runs along Cummins Highway during the peak hours. In the westbound direction, it took us 2.5 minutes in the AM peak and 2.4 minutes in the PM peak. In the eastbound direction, it took us 2 minutes in the AM peak and 1.9 minutes in the PM peak. With the preferred design concept and taking into account the growth factors we use for traffic increases, our model shows that the future travel times would have only increased about 1 minute in each direction. As I've mentioned, vehicles traveling slower and safer down Cummins Highway will subsequently take longer to travel down Cummins Highway. In this slide, I'd like to talk a little bit about the maximum saturation flow rate per lane for Cummins Highway. Applying a number of factors using traffic engineering, it was determined that the maximum peak hour capacity is approximately 1,300 vehicles per hour. With 2 lanes in each direction, the existing condition of Cummins Highway accommodates about 2,600 vehicles per hour for each direction. In reducing Cummins Highway to 1 travel lane in each direction, you can see that these numbers are way below the maximum. Between Woodhaven Street and Harvard Street, the existing peak hour volumes on Cummins Highway in the eastbound direction is 842. In the westbound direction is only 610. Adding factors for growth, our model predicts that 10 years from now in 2030, these numbers will increase to 894 and 648 respectively. Once again, these numbers are way below our proposed thresholds. Due to the existing vehicle per hour capacity of Cummins Highway and the existing traffic volumes during off-peak hours, we're unfortunately going to see cases of speeding. And as a result of COVID-19 and the stay-at-home orders that were issued, we've seen even less vehicular traffic on Cummins Highway. As a result of this, we've also seen an increase in vehicular speeds. A few months ago, MassDOT released a report regarding a speed study that they conducted on Cummins Highway. It showed that vehicle speeds have increased 1.5 to 2 times on Cummins Highway compared to March of last year. To address this new issue that has been ongoing throughout the city of Boston, Mayor Walsh introduced the Healthy Streets Initiative to improve the safety of our streets for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. As we continue to plan for the reopening of Boston, the Public Works Department believes that this would be a great opportunity to test safety improvements on Cummins Highway. So taking a cue from what some of the residents at our last community meeting expressed, we agree that the next steps we should take would be to test the lane reduction concept. For the Cummins Highway temporary trial, we wanted to look at the limits between Woodhaven Street and the Harvard Street Wood Avenue intersection. The trial proposes to convert the outside lanes in the eastbound and westbound directions into parking lanes. One lane adjacent to the median in each direction will be maintained for travel, and the existing parking lanes will be closed off with plastic water-filled barriers to provide temporary bicycle accommodations in each direction. Looking east at Tampa Street, here is a visual of what the trial would look like. As you can see, we're providing one travel lane, a parking lane, and a protected bicycle lane in each direction. To prepare for this trial, we've already made some updates to the existing traffic signals along Cummins Highway to improve efficiency. The metrics that we'll be using to evaluate the trial includes measuring the traffic volumes, measuring traffic speeds, measuring the backup length at intersections, measuring the travel time from Harvard Street to Rockdale Street, and also measuring the delay at MBTA bus stops. During this trial, we will be continuing to look at the traffic congestion, roadway safety, and speeding along the corridor. We will continue to look at how the trial is working, and we will also be checking with the community throughout. So as part of our next steps, I'd like to also briefly mention how residents can provide feedback for the trial. We will be providing an online survey, and we ask that you leave comments and tell us what you think. Please visit the Public Works Project webpage for Cummins Highway for more information. There you will find a link to the survey, as well as other project information and materials. We would really love to hear from you. Let us know if you like the trial, dislike the trial, if you notice any issues. The more we hear from you, the better we're able to respond and deal with any design issues in real time. To give you an idea of our current timeline, here's our anticipated project schedule. As I've already mentioned, we've hosted 2 public meetings last year in April and October, and 1 meeting in February of this year. The temporary traffic calming trial is scheduled for July 24th. And we hope to follow that up with a virtual open house in the fall. We want to begin the design shortly after that, with construction starting in spring of 2021. In between those 2 dates, we're going to be working towards hosting additional update meetings to keep everyone involved in this process and engaged as well. So that's all I have for you for today. I'd like to take this time to thank you for listening and say that we appreciate your participation and engagement in this process. Please visit our website at your earliest convenience, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much.